What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today we're going to be talking about a potential trade that would send OG Anunoby to the Houston Rockets, as it's looking like the Rockets might have some interest in OG Anunoby, small forward for the Toronto Raptors this offseason, as the Raptors are potentially looking to move OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam this offseason and trade two of their best players on the roster, and looking like they might be going to rebuild, which doesn't really make sense because the Raptors right now don't even own their first round pick next year. I don't even know if you would call it rebuild that the Raptors might be going into. Maybe just reload and like I don't know what I think the Raptors right now are one of the most confusing teams in the NBA because you don't really know what they're gonna do. They fired Nick Nurse. They're one of the NBA teams out of all teams that are looking for a head coach that I have no idea who they will hire. And I think the Raptors right now are probably one of the most confusing NBA teams. Just don't know what they're gonna do this offseason. But they might be looking to move OG Anunoby, and I think if they are, the Rockets are going to be interested. The Rockets are if the rumors are true and the NBA executives are correct, the Rockets are looking to bring in James Harden in this free agency. It was reported yesterday the Rockets are expected to sign James Harden, and NBA executives expect James Harden to leave Philadelphia once he opts out of his player option and reunite with the Houston Rockets. So they're looking to trade for win-now players. I kind of thought about, could there be a trade where the Rockets send the Raptors the 4th overall pick for OG Anunoby? I really don't think there's a way. OG Anunoby, he's worth a lot, but he's not worth the 4th overall pick. And I personally think that the Rockets can find a way to maybe potentially trade for OG Anunoby without involving the 4th overall pick in this year's draft. And let's talk about a potential trade that would send OG Anunoby to the Houston Rockets and pair a starting lineup of James Harden, Jalen Green, OG Anunoby, Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun, which I think would be a really decent starting lineup for the Houston Rockets next season. The lineup for the Houston Rockets would look like at point guard, James Harden. That's what the lineup would look like. Point guard, James Harden. Shooting guard, Jalen. Small forward, OG. Power forward, Jabari Smith Jr. And center, Alperen Sengun. But the trade would look like OG Anunoby coming to Houston straight up. No picks or other players coming to the Houston Rockets with OG Anunoby. And then the Rockets give up Kevin Porter Jr., Jayshawn Tate, and Usman Garuba. And the Rockets give the Raptors the 20th overall pick in this year's draft. And also the Rockets give the Raptors the 2024 first-round pick that belongs to the Brooklyn Nets, which at this point I think that could be a decent pick. It's not going to be... I think it could be a pick that if the Nets don't... if the Nets maybe... if the Nets maybe trade Nick Claxton this offseason and maybe lose Cam Johnson free agency, that could be a lottery pick next year. I think it very well could be the Nets pick. There's a decent chance that pick might be a lottery pick next season. But I think that and then also 2 second-round picks in 2024, that one pick belongs to Brooklyn, the other belongs to Golden State. So the final trade would be OG Anunoby going to the Houston Rockets, then Kevin Porter Jr., Jayshawn Tate, and Usman Garuba, the 20th overall pick, a 2024 first-round pick that belongs to the Brooklyn Nets, and two 2024 second-round picks to the Toronto Raptors for OG Anunoby. I think it's a fair trade. Back in the trade deadline, the Raptors, it seemed like their trade value was in the area of 2 to 3 first-round picks and some decent players in return. And the Raptors are getting some decent players in return. They're also getting a couple seconds in 2024 that they can either keep or use. They could either keep those picks or trade them away. And so I think that would be a decent trade for OG Anunoby. And I do think some people will disagree, but I think, you add him into that Rockets lineup, I think he's going to be a hell of a talent for the Rockets in next season if he comes in. He averaged 17 points per game with the Raptors last season, 5 rebounds per game, almost two steals per game, shot 39% from three, and I think the Rockets acquiring him and bringing him into the lineup with Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., and Alperen Sengun, and most likely James Harden would be a really solid lineup. And I think with OG Anunoby potentially coming into the lineup in this trade proposal, the Rockets would maybe be keeping the 4th overall pick and maybe be drafting someone and with that 4th overall pick to come off the bench, like possibly drafting Oscar Thompson to come off the bench, or Amen Thompson to come off the bench. But I honestly could see, if the Rockets were to make a trade like this with OG Anunoby, and OG Anunoby comes in and is the starting small forward for the Rockets, I could see the Rockets, draft like Oscar Thompson with that 4th overall pick. And he's kind of like a Benedict Majorin of last season, where he had an amazing rookie season, but he did it off the bench. He was even, I think, 3rd and 6th man in 6th man of the year votes. No, I don't think so. Was he? Or no, he was like, I think he scored out of off the bench, he scored he was like 3rd or 2nd in the NBA of points off the bench. He wasn't a 6th man candidate. He wasn't a 6th man candidate, but he did score like 3rd, he was 3rd or 2nd in the NBA with bench points last season. And I could see like the Rockets making a trade like this and maybe even be willing to add in another 1st round pick if they have to, and getting OG Anunoby and then drafting someone with that 4th overall pick to become, just really talented off the bench, like Amen Thompson or Oscar Thompson with the 4th overall pick. But I think we'll see what the Rockets do. I think this would be a decent trade for them. I think the Raptors, it would be a little tricky with them. Is 2 first-round picks, KPJ, Tate, Garuba, and 2 seconds enough for the Raptors to do this trade? Maybe not. Maybe you have to add in another 2nd or another 1st, which honestly, I think as a Rockets fan, I wouldn't mind giving up 3 first-round picks for OG Anunoby, but we'll see what happens. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoy them or thoughts, and peace out. Go Rockets.